This week, we're looking at conditionals. I mean, it's a relatively simple concept. Oh, Peter came. That's nice. Peter is here. Just needs a minute to settle. Hey, Peter. Peter, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. You get home in time?
Yeah, actually, I'll go home like not too long.
Oh, yeah, here with us. That's amazing. Um, nice that you joined us. So, Peter and Dami, welcome. But I was saying this week we're looking at conditionals, even though the topic doesn't actually show conditionals. Decision making is basically that if this, else this. Now, before I go on, Dami and Peter, have you seen the materials rather that are included here?
Yes, I've gone through them.
Okay, Dami,
Not yet, but
not yet. All right. Okay. Do you have any question, Peter?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I mean, Peter already submitted his, so I'm just going to run through the assignment before I do a general idea of. Damn, do you want to say something?
Just something.
Okay.
I think as much as we did what do you call it, um, list and code, then I don't know. I don't feel like I've not been using it practically so well.
List.
Yes, I think have we done it?
No, we haven't. It's pretty much after loops.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
No
did you
problem.
use
Then.
list in the assignment?
No, I didn't. I was just saying like I was just hoping I could have made something more easier in my head, but I didn't use it.
Okay. The list is not yet there. Trust me, there's a lot of things you can do with list. For this condition, I was going to give you 4 assignments, but after seeing what most of you did last week, I couldn't even think of anything that would be remotely difficult for you to do. I mean, here the only thing that I found that might have been a tad okay, two of them are equally difficult. This one you really yesterday too. I'll get to each. So conditionals are like I think I'm sure some of you have seen. Wait, Dami, you were going to say something earlier. Do you still want to share that?
no, I don't think so. I was not planning to say anything.
Okay. I think you've seen a number of movies that would say stuff like, is it movies now? Some people have made references to the fact that generally, as big, as complicated as any code can get, it simply boils down to a set of if and else. As complicated as artificial intelligence or machine learning can get, it simply boils down to a set of if and else. Although I'd say it's a bit more complicated than that, but I can't remember somebody made that reference. And that's to show you just how important the if and else is. It basically gives your code the opportunity to make decisions. And the reason why that is because if your code can make decisions, then it can automate a lot of processes. Because our lives are not necessarily direct. They are not one thing that how will I say it now? Only one possibility of things that you can do as you were. You can have a wide range of things to do. For every actions that you can take, there are like a number of alternatives that you can take that you can go with as well. So in your mind, you're kind of doing like this analysis, which one is better, and then you now do a condition like a decision making that says for the one that has the highest benefit, then you can take action based on that. So as complicated as that sound in our mind, we can replicate them by simply in the most basic form using if and else or conditionals. They are very, very important when it comes to programming. Very important, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of like I said, decision making. So it's a simple thing of if if there's a condition, blah blah blah, then do something else, do another thing. It's that simple. Although languages started to include other conditionals like else if. In Python, it's called elif. In Is it elif now? I think I might have mixed that up. But sorry, let me just confirm something.
Correct.
It's right, Bob. Okay. Elif. Sorry. Okay. If you say it's right, then it's right. Cool. So yeah, so that's using conditional statement. Now, oftentimes, I generally try to reduce how frequently I use conditional statement. If I don't have to use it, then I wouldn't. And the reason is because they first of all they take space. I mean, if you're writing an if and else, that means that you're writing two sets of blocks, one for if, one for an else, another one for else rather. If you're going to be writing a couple more for elifs, then you're going to be writing more blocks. Now, unless I have to do it, I would try not to do it. And that was shown in our age calculator. I could have used if and else, but I wasn't necessarily making a decision. I was more or less doing a computation. Although the if and else was going to help out, right? It would have made it easier, like it would have made it logically easier for me to do it with if and else. But you get to a point where if you have a lot of if and generally if you start to have a lot of blocks of code, it will start to get away from it. It start to get confusing. So unless you have to do it, I try not, especially loops. I mean, if and else are still even better. But you say loops, bad idea. I really don't use them. Could you give me a minute?
Yeah.
I need to take this.
Okay.
Guys, I'm back. I need to take an important call. Are you guys there?
Well, from here.
Okay. Dami?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I was saying, I try to avoid using blocks. If others is still, I mean, it's manageable if you're wise about it. But you see loops, oh God, that shit will mess you up. So if you don't have to use it, don't use it. But I mean, obviously there's some stuff that okay, so with loops, right? I think this falls under data structures and algorithm. It's very important to understand if you're going to use, I'm trying to think of something, I can't remember. If you're going to use loop, first of all, check if there's a way to go around it that will not require a loop. Usually we'll get to loops, right? We'll get to loops next week. But like I said, just try to minimize on using the more advanced concept you use, the more difficult your code will be. Right? If you keep it simple, then that's great. But obviously that does not mean that okay, any project you get, if it's not simple stuff, then I mean simple is relative. This is still simple compared to what you'd be doing in stuff like say machine learning. In machine learning, using for loops and if is probably satisfactory because that's the way they work. In say automations, that's probably fine. But then when you start to deal with something that requires optimization, like you want your say you developed a web application and then you want your server to be able to respond fast, it is a very bad idea to use loops. Very bad idea. Because if your loops start to take forever, then your server won't be able to respond in time. We'll get to that eventually, Sean. So
Okay.
conditionals, right? So the first one is pretty straightforward. I mean, some of them are kind of difficult. Um, The first one is something that I learned while I was in school. It's something I should have given when we're talking about variables and data types. It's like a very important, I don't know, my lecturer kind of made it like a rudimentary thing that we all had to learn, which is basically swapping. So ideally, I should have given the assignment for swapping here. I should have done that here. It's the best thing to do here. But then I don't know. I think it skipped my mind, and then I remembered I could do that here as well. So I decided to put it together. Basically, what this is saying is that you're going to have three variables. Now, this is more or less. This is not necessarily. You're not graded based on. Well, I need to update this rubric. You're not graded. Sorry, you're not graded based on how the user perceives your code. You're graded based on how another programmer will perceive your code. Because the the thing I'm asking you to do here is not necessarily something that how I say the user is concerned with. I said enter three numbers variable x, y, z. Then I arrange the numbers such that it prints out it holds the value of x holds the smallest value, number of y holds the smallest that blah blah blah. Or I should have added one more thing, then print it out, obviously. Should have added that. I'm sorry. Um Print out the value of x, y, z in order. Print out the value of x, y, and z in that order. Excuse me. So ideally, what that does is that it basically arranges it to be an ascending order. So x holds the smallest value, y holds the next value, z holds the next value. And that is if your user that doesn't have any idea what's going on at the back runs your code, you can use there are myriad ways, there are a myriad number of ways rather that you can do this. You can use array.sort, you can use a for loop, you can use a recursive function. There are so many ways that you can use this. But the specificity of this assignment is that you use this method of okay, you have three variables x, y, and z, regardless of what they are not, what numbers they are holding. Arrange your code rather such that x will hold the smallest value, y will hold the smallest value, the next value, and z will hold the largest value. Now, if you can do that with for loops, sure. The cocoa is at the end of the day, when you print x, it should show the smallest, print y, it should show the next, and z should show the largest. For a user that wants to come and use your code, it doesn't matter to him whether x is the smallest. All that matters to him that he enters a number of variables, a number of values, and then you print out the way you print it out ascended. I'm sorry, in ascending order. That's what matters to him. But yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in your ability to swap variables. So in a situation like this, you probably want to do something like, okay, if x is greater than y, then that means x has a larger value than y. Obviously, in that case, you should swap. So x should hold the value of y, and y should hold the value of x, because x should hold the smallest number. Now, that's where the whole idea of swapping now comes in. In swapping, I think I should probably do this part. Swapping, because it's not really like a concept in it's not like something you will learn online, I guess, except you did research. I've not really done. But I learned this from Misugi, my lecturer back then. If you have a variable a is this and b is 5, and you wanted to swap, I'm sure some of you just do simply let a be equal to b and b be equal to a. I mean, that's like the quickest, obviously wrong, but like people would think about, okay, this is the easiest way to do it. By the time you print the value of a and print the value of b, you see that they're the same. So obviously that didn't work. Let's try that again. A is equal to 4, b is equal to 5. Maybe because we wrote a is equal to b first. Let's do b equals to a first, then a equal to b. Then you print a 4, when you print b 4. So that didn't work. Now, how do you do swapping? Excuse me. If a is equals to 4 and b is equals to 5, to swap, first of all, you need to store the value of a somewhere. Oftentimes, I use a variable called temp, like for temporary. I say let the value of a temporary be a. So it's temporarily holding the value of a, because the moment I say a is equal to b, a is no longer 4, it becomes 5. And so by doing b is equals to a, it doesn't now change to 4, it still stays at 5. Do you understand what I'm saying? Peter and Tammy.
Yeah, I do. So you reassign the variables.
So you basically just store the value of you just set B to the temporary value of A, and that's it. So when I say temporary, I don't mean like, okay, Python recognizes it as a temporary variable. I'm just saying temporary because, as a programmer, that's how I want to view it as. And I stored it as the variable name is temp. So that's my own way of seeing the variable. It's not like Python. In Python now, this is a temporary variable that after a few minutes it become expired. No, it's a variable like every other variable. It's just that my own way of viewing it is that I call it a temporary, and that's why I use temp. It can be X, it can be Z, whichever. Coco is that you set the value of the temporary variable to A. You set A is equals to B, and then you set B back to the temporary variable A. So by the time you print A, you see A now is now 5, and print B. Sorry, print B. B is 4. So swapping worked. So in this case, I would expect it to like compare, okay, X and Y. Is X bigger? Obviously, swapping only works for two variables. This code is now more complicated because I'm asking you to work with three variables, X, Y, and Z. If I'm asking you to work with two variables and I say, okay, if I arrange them in order, swap if they're larger, if they're larger, swap if they're less, I don't do anything. That would be pretty easy. But then it gets complicated when you start to deal with three variables, and it was purposely so because I wanted to be able to see how you think through it. Frankly, the day I came up with the question, I attempted to solve it, and I kind of did. I wouldn't say I really did because I was sleepy. I'm sure some of you must have noticed that I made a number of mistakes. For instance, the due date was formally May 8th. I didn't type most of this stuff finish. But I wanted to make sure that the problem was something that was actually solvable before I posted it. We'll get to, as we go deeper, we'll start to deal with problems that are not necessarily solvable, but like your thought process is what matters most. But in this case, I wanted to make sure that okay, there was a code that could actually do it. And the truth is, it's actually quite possible. It's definitely possible to do it. It's just it might be long. Your code might be long. So I was thinking that okay, this might, if you do it well, if you really thought of a process well, you can write in like 6 or 7 lines of code. But then when I thought about it a bit more, I started to say, okay, it can get complicated real fast. So it's part of the reasons why I left it as just two assignments. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. If you can successfully do this one, then that's good. I believe that you really understand the idea of if and else. One of the things that I also included was nested loops. I don't know if they talked about it in these videos. Peter, did you talk about nested conditionals here? Like when you put an if in an if.
Yeah, they mentioned it in one
Okay.
of the videos.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So that's basically what nested loops are. When you put an if inside another if. So nested conditionals. I assume that you're going to use that here. I did when I started to attempt the question. Probably try and attempt it again before our next meeting. Do you guys have any questions on conditional swapping? Conditional swapping.
Oh,
Peter, do you?
good.
Good? Okay.
No.
Dami, how about you?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Kind of understand it. Yeah.
All right. The grading system, haha, this was funny. This was very funny. Sorry, let me just open this. So now this one, I could have simply just left it as okay. You know how much I like stories now. Try to come up with a story, something that we're familiar with, as far we most of us went to Unilag. When you do an exam, they basically grade you. Now, I could have left it as simple as okay, let the lecturer, for instance, enter the value of the total score, and then you're just going to use your conditionals to determine what grade is it. That would like be too simple. But then I decided to add a bit of more heuristic to it, and that's basically what it is. There's something called heuristics in machine learning, and there was one thing we taught: analytical hierarchy, AHP, analytical hierarchy procedure. Yeah. I think at some point you use AHP in this process. I'm sorry, heuristics. Now, heuristics is basically what I just described here. Only that I was more rigid about it. I'm sure you guys understand what that means. A lecturer says, okay, the grading this year is kind of poor. People did not do so well. So it starts to like, okay, what can I do to make it so that it will be better? And then start to just try things out until you find something that's good. That's basically what heuristics is. There's no fixed rule as to what to do, but it just generally based on experience. Exactly, based on experience, you say, okay, this is probably the best way to go about it. Now, I'm not saying that what I'm describing here is heuristic, so it is not. It's a bit. It makes sense to think that it is, but when you are really thinking of the concept of programming heuristics, this is really nothing. So in this case, I give a bit of heuristics as to how a lecturer would want to pad and what will I call it now? A total assessment score. So obviously the lecturer has say they did tests, two tests of 0 to 20. So that's each one will be 40. I did an exam of 60. And so the students can score between 0 to 60. We did a presentation that to score between 0 to 20, a project between 0 to 50, and attendance of 0 to 100%. I'm sure some of us are already familiar with this kind of system. Now, the first thing you would do is that you scale everything aside the attendance and the exam to 20. So if a person scores 20 over 40, scaling it down to 20 means that he scored 10 over 20. I'm sure you don't need the math, you don't need me to teach you the math for that, right? Okay. Now if you score B, if your attendance is below 40%, that means you only came to the class less than 40% of the time, then the lecturer assumes that you are not serious. And so he gives you the mark you basically you deserve, which is just the exam plus the test. That's so technically somebody who has an attendance percentage below 40 would have a total mark of 80. But then that would be, I don't know if you get me. It has a total mark of, let's assume it scores 20 in the test, scores 60 in the exam. But then his attendance is below 40%, and I'm sure there are a number of people that do that in engineering. He still has 80 over 100. It doesn't mean it's the best. The mere fact that he missed attendance would have some repercussions. So I'm sure some of you would have been like, maybe, how do you now, will I scale the 80 back to 100? No, it was purposeful that even if he scores everything in the test, scored everything in the exam, but it wasn't available for 40%, for more than 40% of the attendance, then he still gets it. In this case, the presentation and the project wouldn't count. Because like I said, the idea behind that was that the student is not serious. Do you understand me?
Okay, can I ask a question, please?
All right.
So you mentioned that the value of the test, presentation, and project are scaled to 0 to 20. So I want to believe that since the exam is 60 marks, so the combination of the test, presentation, and project, all of them must equal 20, right?
So say that again.
The exam is pegged at 60, right?
Yes.
Good. So now test is 40 marks, presentation is 20, project is 50 marks. So if you sum everything together, that would be like 110. So that 110 should be scaled to 20.
170 actually. 40,
40
60,
plus
100.
20. And 110, all right.
170 including the project. 40 plus
No,
60,
no, I'm not putting
100.
the exam because the exam is separate.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I just wanted
no,
to be sure that was.
no, I'm not saying that you add everything up and then scale it to 20. You individually, 0
No,
to
I'm
40,
not saying
scale to
what I'm trying
20.
to say. But that wouldn't balance now if you do that way.
Why wouldn't it?
Because the exam is 60%.
That's why what is about to happen next would explain it. For now, just understand that you scaled this down to 20. You scaled it down. This is already 20, so it's fine. You scale project defense to 20. Now, for a person that has below 40% of attendance, just had whatever is called in the exam that is scaled down to 20 to the test. So whatever is called in the test, scaled down to 20 to the exam. Now, for somebody who has greater than 40%, you select two of the maximum assessments. So if the test and the project, if it's scored, say, 18 in the test, scored 15 in presentation, and scored 19 in project, you take two of the maximum assessments, which is the test and the project.
Well, that's not what I interpreted it as. No problem.
Do you get it now?
Yeah, basically, I guess it was the second line that, when you said the value of the test presentation and this are scaled to 0 to 20. So I felt in total it's like that, like 20.
Some. Okay, let me make that. Let me clarify that the individual values. Does that clarify things?
Okay.
Um, mm, presentation, presentation. Okay, presentation is already done. Projects, projects from 50 to 20. I hope that would clarify things. Thank you for pointing it out. I didn't clarify it well enough, but I hope that the next person that reads it understands that you're supposed to scale each one down, not sum them up and then scale it down. So after you scale it down, for those that have more than 40% attendance, you take two of the maximum assessments. So I want to open Excel, but I feel like that would be long. Fine. You take two of the maximum assessments. If it's test and the project, the person scored the highest thing. You take those two, you sum it together and add it to the exam, and that will give you 100. Did you get that, guys?
So that means you don't need the attendance as a score at all.
I'm sorry? You don't need it as a score, no. The attendance is simply to
You just
determine
need it to determine whether it gets above or below 40%. No
precisely.
problem.
Precisely. Dami, how about you? Did you get it? You seem rather
Yeah,
quiet.
yeah, I'm actually following it. Like I've gotten it. At least Ekene have like his question has clarified.
It's Peter, not the kid.
Sorry, Peter. Bad, my bad. Yeah, so he has clarified it. So and even from your explanation, yeah, I've gotten it.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
like
Okay.
save me stress of of doing something else.
That's the whole point of doing this Q&A because I figured some. I'm not the talented. Well, I'm not the lecturer as well. So coming up with questions. Wait, as I was saying. So when you get the total scores, then you now use this grading system to determine the person's grade, and that's what I'm asking to do there. Collect the scores from the padding using the heuristics described above. Let me write that. The heuristics. Did I get that right? Yeah, I think I did. Yep. Oh no, I didn't. That's it. Okay. Using the heuristics described above. Display total grade. Display the grade. So that should just straighten things up for the grading system. Peter, you can always submit and resubmit. We still have till Saturday midnight to send them in. I was thinking of sending more assignments. Honestly, I can't seem
So
to
I
think
was
of any.
just every free time I have at work, I will just need to do it as quick as possible because our work will get. But no problem. I'll try to redo
Oh,
it.
okay, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool. I totally get it if you can't. It's fine. It's fine. But just if you can, then that'll be great. If you can't, still great. Maybe not as great, but still great. I was thinking of more conditional assignment to give, but honestly, none. Maybe because I was just sleeping. So likely, what I'll likely do is that I'll probably come up with one or two more. Since the deadline is Saturday midnight, I can probably come up with one or two more. Maybe just one tomorrow or tonight. If I do, I would make a short video and explain it. It shouldn't be so that we're both clear. We're all clear rather on exactly what I would be hoping for you guys to do. It's not guaranteed that I would. You might have your hands full with this too, but if not, I could add one more. Because maybe Peter is just a genius, but Peter submitted this in like how many hours? So, I'll probably add more in case you want. And just to show, do I need to do that? Let's just use that as a sample. So based on, I'm sure some of us are students, matric number, tests, presentation, projects, what else? Exam, right? There's attendance. I'm going to put attendance in the front. So let's say we have a few numbers here. Do you remember matric number again? Oh yeah, okay. So let's say we have these few numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, and 5. And doesn't give them random numbers. And between 0 to 100, 60, 52. And the test is between 0 to 40. Do the same thing here. And between 0 to 40, just need to temporary. Ah, man. See, no, 0 to 40 is bad. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And presentation is between 0 to 20, and between 0 to 20, copy, paste, 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 paste. Project between 0 to 50, and between 0 to 50, copy, paste, 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 paste. Exam is between 0 to 60, and between 0 to 60, copy, paste, 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 paste. So obviously, we're going to just copy this and paste it one more time and then paste out numbers. Then obviously, people that are 0, maybe help them out here. 3 is a terrible thing to have. Call it 40. Nobody has, no, let's just fix it. Yeah. Nobody had above. Let's use 3 examples to be more. Give it 10 maybe. Presentation over 50, and these are very low marks.
Put 100 like for serious student like Taiwo.
I don't blame you. Now, what's your magic number? Let's use it as an example.
Please, I can't remember my matric number.
So, where was I? 45 projects, over 50. That is 4. Whoa! And nobody even said anything. Obviously, there's a reason why it's this low, because presentation is over 20. Project is the one that is over 50. Though now I feel like I should just copy this. Don't do that to me. Come on. Okay, paste it here. Shit. Fine. Let's do it again. 20, 53, 55, about 50k. 35, 17, 23, I guess. For you to score 1 in the exam, then you must have done pretty bad. All right. Oof, that was a lot of data. So now, just to show you basically what I was trying to do. How many of you know that you can do some of these things, some of this programming stuff on Excel? Voila.
So yeah.
Okay, so let me expand this. So first of all, you want to check for if the attendance is greater than 40. Then let me just write true for now, or false. Sorry. Don't even know why I need to use this. Okay, so let's copy that, paste, 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 paste. So obviously, I'll just to play serious student. I'll put that here. Now, if it's not a serious student, so let me just call this CA or test, whatever. If it's not a serious student, that means if this is, let me write that again. If this is false, then just take the CA and add it to the exam. That's all. So these guys are true. That's why they're not showing properly. But if it is true, then this is where it gets tricky. With Excel, it can be a bit of work. If it is true, what we'll do is we're going to get the maximum. Let me use the formula. Maximum number. Man, can you mark there? Oh, say, this is the right formula. This person is true. The two maximum numbers are 10. No, we were supposed to scale out. None of you are able to talk. We're supposed to scale out this to 20. Wow. Okay. I've forgotten about that. So scale it out to
Yeah, yeah.
20. That would be this over 40 times 20. Copy that down. Paste, paste, paste. Copy it. Paste it. Sorry. Paste it here. Obviously, store it as numbers. And get rid of this column. I'm not teaching you Excel, I'm teaching you programming. So just ignore what I'm doing. Presentation is already over 20. Let's scale down project. So project should be this over 50 times 20. Copy, paste, 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 paste. Copy, paste. Yeah, values. Wow, okay. Numbers. No, sorry, excuse me.
That's wrong, bro.
Yeah, paste. No, okay, there we are. And then delete this. Little say, kí ni mo ń ṣe gangan? Okay. Let's do that again. Control C, Control D, copy, paste it as numbers. Delete this. Exactly. So this person, let's just get rid of these guys. They're not needed. This person has an attendance less than 40. So obviously it's not serious. So his test to be 19, whatever he has there, plus his exam score. Straight up. This person has less than 40 as well. So obviously his test to be whatever he has here, plus the exam straight up. These people are not serious, true. They show for the exam. So this one is more than 40%. So obviously you're going to take the two maximum. In this case, project and presentation, and then add the exam. So that would be this guy plus the exam. I'll give it to, oh yeah, Starboy. For this guy, the two highest are the test and the project. So adding this test plus the project plus the exam. Not bad. For this guy, the two highest are tests and projects, and then we'll add the exam to it. And then you can now determine the grade. Obviously, it's an F or an A C, an F, and a C. So no matter how much you try, some people will still fail. So that is the basically the heuristics I was explaining here, so you understand it better. People that are making this video are not necessarily for you guys. The reason why I'm doing all of this again is because I know some people might watch this later, and I don't want a situation where they will now watch and they say don't grab it. If after this shit you still don't grab it, then we can talk. But if after everything I've done now you grab it perfectly, go ahead and then we'll just start writing the program. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, if I find before I go on, any questions from you guys?
None.
Okay. Dami?
No, 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 no.
All right. So if I can come up with another question tomorrow, I'll add it here. I'll make a short video to explain it. Shouldn't be less than, although I sense that some people might be busy. Plus, you know what, let's not do any more assignment. I'm sure you can use if and else alongside your for loops next week. So according to what I see here in our stream, in our scheme rather, we have if and else, then we should have for loops next. Okay, yeah. Should I not do functions before data structures? I think we should do function. Okay, anyhow. So after this is next week. This will be the week after. After for loops, we're going to have a short review. Basically, I'm going to explain, I'm going to reach out to each of you and then we'll talk about the classes, how it has been so far and all that stuff. I should teach you something before I leave, which is pass keyword. Let me just clear this. Let me use my idle instead. pass keyword is kind of important. So pass keyword is basically when you don't want anything to happen. It's really like just pass over me, like the Passover in the Bible. Oh my God, I'm being a Christian. So we're going to call it tests. So I'm just going to say A is equals to 5. Now, if I wanted to write the code that says if A is greater than 5, then multiply it by, find the square. But if it's less than 5, don't do anything. I'll simply say if A is greater than 5, then print A is part 2. That's fine. Else, don't do anything. Now, that's what pass does. Pass is basically saying move along. Now, it's not necessarily used every time. It's mostly used if, I think for if and else might not be so obvious, because in this case you can simply just remove this and it will work just as fine, right? I'm sure you guys understand that because pass doesn't do anything, so there's no point having this here. If I wanted to write the code the other way around and I said, okay, if A is less than 5, don't do anything, but if it's greater than 5, print the value of A squared. This is just redundant because I could just write, instead of writing this, I could write what we have before by just saying if A is greater than 5, then print A raised to power 2. And then there will be no need for all of this. But then in what case is it useful? I know we've not done loops yet, but imagine you have a for loop. I'm just going to write something simple. For I in range. I'll explain some more next week. And then you wanted to now do a conditional inside your loop, but then you didn't want it. You know what? I don't think I know exactly when, but I'm just going to check my code real quick, see what case I use passing. This is a pair. Let's use this guy. I'm sure I've used pass many times. It's one of the annoying things of. Yep, try and accept. Yeah, that's a very good example. Try and accept. This is not necessary.
Yeah, I was about to like mention that if it's similar to try and accept
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, exactly. I guess that means how about that me just explain to us how we use pass to try and accept since you're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Try. I'm sure you can do
yeah.
it.
For try and
Accept.
accept, yeah. Basically, it's used if you like now. May I used it when I need to like confirm if like a user I want to like ensure that a user enters the correct data format for a particular stuff. So if the user does not enter that particular data format, it will just like maybe quit your program. But I feel like for pass, it is probably okay. Let's say, for example, we are trying to print let's say we are trying to like sort out something from a list for certain conditions. You don't need them, so you just want to just allow the program. When the program sees it, it just like passes it and focuses on the ones that the how can I put it, um how can I just put this? Let's say we are trying to like sort out something, and every time the program works out fine, you don't really care about it, but you want to like maybe catch the places where there are errors. You can use this pass for where the program works fine. You don't care. You can just allow the program to just pass over that point. But the ones where
So
it's going to like yeah, give you issues, yeah, you can work on that one. Something like that, though.
thank you, sir. Thank you. That actually sums it up. You just need to summarize what he's trying to say or what he said. So imagine that you got, I'm sure most of you already know what input does. So enter a number. And this is something that you will learn, although I expect that you should have learned by now. And I say A is equal to that. Now you obviously want to convert it to an integer or a float, whichever. Now, sometimes some people can be crazy enough to enter letters, and that will mess up your code. So imagine I run this and I put F to give me an error, basically a value error. So what we can do is use a try and catch. I'll explain some more, but I wanted to explain the use of pass. So say I do try. What I'm basically saying is try this line of code, except to catch the value error. If you catch the value error, then I know some of you might want to print you fucker enter a good number. Just I don't know, sake of this thing. And then when you run it, if the person enters a number, that's not a number rather, it says that. So basically that's what try is. Try a block of code. If you encounter any point you encounter the value error, then do this. Now this in this case you are printing it out. In some cases you expect your block of code to crash. You're expecting it to crash, but you don't want to do anything about it. When it crashes, shall just leave it and be going. In that case, you use a pass. You're not doing anything. You just want to. Now, unlike our if and else, we could have. Remember when I said I could remove it? The problem about that is a try and accept has to be there. Like if you're using a try, you have to have the accept there. It has to be there. If not, you're going to get an error. Let me just show you how that looks. You need to see. If I try to run this, see, well, that's basically what it's saying. I know it's not printing it out well, but that's what it's saying. That unless you have, when you have a try, you have to have an accept. Now, we did not need to have an accept. I could easily just have this here and not use a pass. But because I need to have an accept, but then I don't need to do anything with my accept, I just use a pass. I say, okay, do, but I don't need this shit, right? Did you get that, Peter?
Oh, sorry, I think I missed it for like a second.
Okay. I didn't even notice your hand. Should I go back again or you have a question?
I think I was good. I got to the point where we were trying to say if you don't use an accept and use a try to bring out an error.
Okay, yeah. So remember how before I said I did something like this, a equals to 5. And I said if a is greater than 5, print a raised to the power 5. And I did something like this. Remember this, right?
Yes, this.
Good. Now I said that we can easily remove this and your code will work because an if does not need to have an else. It's
Yes.
fine if it doesn't have. Now, unfortunately, for a try and accept, your try has to have an accept. They go together. I didn't need not need to use an accept, and I could just do this. I would not need to use this pass keyword I've been using. I could just say try this stuff and you're done. But then accept has to be there. But in this case, I don't want to do. Assuming in this case, I don't want to do anything if it catches an error. I don't care. I don't need to do anything. Then I can use a pass. Did you get that?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're actually writing a proper code, you probably want to put a debug message here, maybe something like debug value error cut. The reason why you want to do that is because for this code, it's probably simple, but when you're writing a line of code and you're testing, you want to be able to check, okay, if there's an error at some point, I want to be able to detect it. So your message will print it out. Because if you didn't have that there and you run your code, the person enters something ridiculous, it doesn't do anything. So you're basically clueless as to what's happened. This is fine because obviously this is like just 4 lines, you can easily detect it. But then when you're dealing with a lot of lines rather, you cannot exactly say what went wrong or what happened that it didn't show anything afterwards. So it's usually advised that as long as you're developing, try to use what do you call them now? Try to use debugging messages just so you're familiar. For me, I like to put it inside. I just put a kind of, if obviously when I'm calm, not when I'm in a hurry. When I'm calm, I do this, then I write the message, value error cut. And the reason why I do that is because I can be able to differentiate at what this is for only me as a programmer to see, not for well, obviously the other person will see it, but at least when I'm running my code, I know by the time I'm ready to deploy, I just get rid of any line of code that has the debug in it. You That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Any other question?
No.
How about that?
Nope. Nope.
All
Nope.
right.
Nope.
Right. So I'll let you guys focus on I don't know if you can submit the assignment before then. I'll let you guys focus. The next meeting we'll have will be on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, and I'll probably also get the materials ready by Sunday. This week was a bit overwhelming for me, so I've been back and forth. I've been a bit delaying with everything. I apologize for that. Ideally, I should have posted the assignments since Tuesday, but then So, on that note, have a good night. Rest well.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.